Two, and one. We're in. Chefs, what is the beef? Welcome to episode 53 of the Chef Fit podcast. We've got another special episode. We've always got a special episode, but today's another special episode. On today's episode, we've got Rodney Lienhart. And Rodney is obviously a chef, a writer, and a man of the people, a mentor to chefs, and one of the admins of the restaurant mental health group, which is an extremely important thing. What we're going to be doing here today, guys, is I want to dive into Rodney's background. I want to dive into some really, really, really important topics just around mental health, and especially in this time with all the pandemic and all the shit going on in the background that everyone's dealing with, is to give people some clarity and to deliver a message, and so you can take something away from this conversation and apply. Rodney, thank you so much, bro. I really, really appreciate you jumping on.
Thanks for having me, man. It's a pleasure to be here. You grow up as this aspiring chef, you grow up as this aspiring person thinking, hey, am I going to do something good or worth my time these days? And then when you see Chef Fit come across your screen, you're like, yep, this is it. This is my calling.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah, and thank you. It is a huge, huge, huge shout out to everybody that's been on the show, man. A lot of great people said a lot of great things, and I've actually used a lot of that advice.
Okay.
Yeah, a little bit about me. So when I say that the kitchen raised me, I actually mean that. I was 7 years old, 8 years old, and my mom having a full-time, job at the restaurant, living there, sat me and my brother down and went, okay, I can either pay a babysitter to watch you at the house, or I can pay you the same amount I'm going to pay her for the week, then you guys can work here. Well, we're 5 and 7 years old. We're like, we don't want a babysitter. She knew that. She didn't have a babysitter lined up. She fucking knew that.
Yeah.
Had I known that was going to be, a definitive like slavery, ban for 10 years of her telling me what I'm doing wrong, then I wouldn't have done it. But at this time, I was like, great. So it got to a point where, sometimes I felt like I had to put in, request time off just to go to the card shop when I was a teenager to buy Pokemon cards. You know what I mean? Like I was kitchen this, kitchen that. And, I came up through the ranks. I started as a busboy, dishwasher, prep cook, fill-in cook, learning it on the fly. And then I'm running Saturday nights, and it is, man. And then, I go to a culinary school and I'm just like, none of you guys are doing anything right. And it bugged me so much, but I was like, well, wait a minute. I took a step back. I was like, why don't I just, do something that I've never had done to me before instead of getting angry about this? I started teaching. That's kind of when I knew then, like, the passion for food really drives us. And it's this emotional roller coaster every single day because we're creatures of habit.
Yeah.
We become so ingrained to, okay, my Mondays look like this, that we kind of miss. And it's talking about what you were saying earlier, showing us paying attention, that we don't take time for ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And that's fucking huge. That's more important than my past could ever be. You know what I mean? The where you came from, that really doesn't matter. That's helped you build your character for where you're going to go.
Yeah.
And man, when you were saying it earlier, that really hit me. I was like, we have to take time for ourselves. If we don't, you're going to lose it. You're going to lose it. And that's when I want to tell people, if you take anything away from this tonight, you got to start dancing when no one's looking.
Yeah, big time.
That's what it comes down to, man. What happened to that? What happened to that? You look back in time and you'll see that all throughout the movies and stuff, man. All these 80s movies, 90s sitcoms, they always say the same thing. Dance when no one's looking. Why'd you stop dancing?
Totally, bro.
That's just it.
I think with that, yeah, totally. And I think with, chefs are naturally conditioned to be loyal creatures as well as creatures of habit. And I think naturally it's not a feeling it's not a feeling that a lot of chefs have naturally to put time aside for themselves, because the trade and the art and the craft it's so all in terms of the mentality, and whether that is applied externally or applied internally, and pressure you put on yourself to get it done. And I think a message that we'll dive into within this podcast is actually having, as I said, you know what I mean, dance when nobody's looking.
Yep.
Let me take it back a small step, because I think there's
Sure.
something cool that I want to dive into within your background. You talked about going to culinary school, and you know, when you were looking at what other people are doing, and maybe it was, you know, it's like, shit, they're not doing it correctly or the way I would do it. And I think there is something really important about food in general. And this isn't just about cooking as a chef. You know, there's a feeling for food. I know how I grew up, my father being a chef, and my brother has gone on to do great things as himself. That food was always kind of part of the identity. You know what I mean? It was always the environment that we grew up around. And I think really important for a lot of chefs is that, you know, you fall in love with cooking in those formative years where you're seeing it and you're exposed to it. And I think food is an incredible medium for connection, obviously for expression, but for connection as well. And it can bring, you know, if you put two strangers at a table or a group of strangers at a table, some people might be from a fucking different country, you know what I mean? You put good food in front of them, you know what I mean? And there's a conversation and something gets open there. And I think that's really,
Everybody
really
has a story about a dish. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You know,
big
it's
time.
my mom, she didn't go to culinary school. You know, my mom grew up in a time where money, you know, I know the value of a dollar, but I also know what it's like not to have money. You know, I didn't grow up rich. You know, none of us did, man. You know, and she grew up literally. I'm not just, I can, you know, if I got to prove it, I got to prove it. But she was picking cotton, you know, for 50 cents a day, man. That's not shit. So she had to go to work early. She got her GED and she just started cooking, and then led to chef of a restaurant and owning it. That was her dream. That's what a lot of us aspire to. And if you're out there, go for it. You know, it takes a lot of work, but go for it. But when you asked her what her cuisine background was, she would always tell you, I can just cook whatever I feel like I need to cook. You know, I've had some like stupid, you know, from 50-cent cans, salmon patties for dinner a couple of nights, you know what I'm saying? With like leftovers, you know, like, you know, it sucked. But at the same time, I follow a lot of Southern cuisine. And on my Instagram, I just did one of Sean Brock's recipes of shrimp and grits.
Sick.
I went through, oh, thank you, man. It was amazing. The girlfriend loved it. She didn't taste it at all. It was just gone real quick, man. And, I was like, it's good. She's like, there's more, right? You know, and so that made me feel good. And the reason that I did that is because I wanted that experience, and that's why I write, and that's why chefs write cookbooks, for the experience. And I think that, like you were sitting, you know, when we all sit down and there's a plate of food, that automatically reminds us of an experience, versus if there's no food, what do we talk about? Totally. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Everybody bonds over food. And my mom, she didn't have any traditional, you know, that's like when I went to culinary, she kind of frowned upon it, and she's like, oh, well, you're a sellout. And I was like, well, I need to be, because I'm in the generation where you need to have a diploma to you know, get a part-time job, you know what I'm saying? And so, and then when I got my dad going, just go to school, let's go to school. So I was like, whatever, you know. And so I did that thinking that they would be proud of me, when really, you know, it felt like the opposite. Well, when she passed away a few years ago, she proved to me that it wasn't the opposite. And I'm only going to tell you this, and nobody else knows this except for my family. So this is exclusive for you. It's not that important. I'm just saying nobody else knows.
No, good. Yeah,
absolutely. It's raw, man.
100%.
So my mom passed on my daughter's birthday. Fuck. Yeah. So it sucks. Well, what do you tell your kid?
Yeah.
So you deal with that.
Yeah.
So fast forward 6 months, you just go insane.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to cook, man. I didn't want to do shit.
And through that time, then, like,
it's still so heavy. It's fucking gnarly, bro. Like, the emotion is so raw. But here's the thing. What really fucks with me, man. Sorry.
Not at all, bro. Not at all. It's real. Take your time.
I took the time. I took the time off of work, and I went out of town to Tennessee, where my mom's restaurant was in Tennessee, because I live in Michigan. So it's
Yeah.
not just a hop, skip, and a jump. It sucks, man. Driving down there in Indiana. I'm sorry, people from Indiana, but your state fucking is boring, and you need to give me something like on the highway, dude, to pay attention to, because I fall asleep real quick. That's why I'm always jittery when I get through Indiana, because it's like all the caffeine and shit. But I get to go to Tennessee for my birthday, because I kept hearing my mom, and she kept telling me, she goes, "You're going down there to find a flavor." What the fuck does that mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, it didn't make any sense until I got there. So pulling into town, my cousin told me, he goes, "Yo, cuz I gotta tell you, it's gone. It's burnt down. I didn't know how to tell you this because you wouldn't have came, but it's burnt down. It's been bulldozed. It's a parking lot now." I was like, "I still got to see it, dude. I still got to see it. I still got to see it." And he's like, "Okay." So we pull up, and I have pictures of it somewhere, but it's like a huge parking lot. You could see the outline of where everything used to be. Like, I literally felt like I was looking at an aerial view of my mom's old restaurant, and I'm like, well, it's still technically here. And so, like, you think I just got upset then, man? That sucked. Very heartfelt, like, walk around the parking lot. I felt different.
Mm-hmm.
So I walked back to where it started. It all started the day that I knew what a chef was. I remember looking at this old, like, 10-inch or like 12-inch TV screen my mom had in the prep room up on a VCR, because sometimes she would watch movies, you're prepping or whatever have you. And I was always allowed to watch Julia Child on PBS. I saw Jacques Pepin cooking over a fire hearth, with Julia Child, and I was like, "Oh, Mom, I want to do that. What's that?" And she's like, "That's I was like,
Love Julie Child.
"Oh yeah, right." And it's just, and it's funny because I was like, "So who is she?" And she goes, "She's also a chef." I go, "So then why are they on TV and you're not?" Dude, I'm 8 years old. Like, I don't know what the hell, I'm just trying to figure it out. And she goes, "Well, I'm a real chef. They suck dick." And I was like, "Huh? Like, what is that?" So my mom loved Julia Child, but my mom also didn't like Julia Child because she was like, "I could have done that." I'm like, "Well, then why didn't you?"
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. And I think she just did that to get a rise out of me. Again, man, sorry about getting upset. That's just, it's
Not at
never
all.
told me
Don't
like that,
apologize. Yeah, totally, bro. But that's part of the story,
But
and that's real emotion, all day.
here's where the story is. So my mom and I agreed on two things: one, coffee, and two, Elvis. That's it. You understand? That's fucking it. If it didn't have to do with coffee and Elvis, she didn't want to talk to me. All right. And it all started after the culinary school shit. I'm telling you. And so I was like, all right, well, I would, in the morning, I would probably, make the coffee. And she goes, "I like it when you come visit because you fucking know what you're doing." And she just, that's it. That's the, "Hey, how you doing for the day?" And I go,
Yeah.
"Okay, cool, whatever." And then she would try in her own, special sort of way that kind of get through to me. But all those years of, I wouldn't say neglect, but all those years of not really paying attention to me, of not really, like, it does its damage, man. It calluses your hands, so you can take that burn.
Totally.
And so she knew, she remembered, to show me beyond the grave that she remembered that entire, prep room ordeal and teaching me this stuff. In the prep room, when I'm standing in there looking down, those tiles that have been rained on, driven on, lit on fire, bulldozed, there was 3 perfectly mint condition tiles. I popped 3 up, took one to my dad, gave one to my brother, and I have one in front of my coffee pot. So every morning I have a cup of coffee with my mom.
Incredible. Wow, man, that's very, very powerful. Yeah,
it
big
is.
time.
That's my point, and that ties into why I write.
Let me, before we move on to that, Rodney, because I think you said something very profound that your mom said to you. Said you're going there to find your flavor, which is, for all the emotion is your journey as a chef, does that make sense to you now, even though it didn't make sense at the time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
Like,
Because here's the thing. Flavor is affected no matter what. If you go to McDonald's, if we go to McDonald's with the trained palates that we have, come on, we're gonna be disappointed. You know what I'm saying? There's no flavor to it. Okay,
yeah,
it's
yeah,
sustenance. It is what it is. Those guys are doing a great job, but you can tell the difference between, an artisan burger and something shipped, streamlined. An
100%.
artisan burger, they've taken the time and they put the emotion into the flavors, into the burger, and you experience it. Most people are like, "Oh, that's just a damn good burger." That's when you go, "That's a damn good burger."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
If what she was trying to tell me is the flavor is patience, I've got to slow down. It didn't
Mm.
click to me until I really realized, if I fucking take my time with something, like if I take my time and write, if I take my time and be patient across all fronts, I'm going to get patience back.
Yeah.
Life is, going to always test me, and just to be ready for that. So, really, that entire trip, okay, so it looks like I drove on my birthday from Michigan to Tennessee, picked up a floor tile, then left.
Mm.
I, when I came into town, my family knows down there. I went to culinary school. They know I'm a chef. They know that, I'll gladly take on Bobby Flay any day. You know what I'm saying? As we all will. They know that. They know that I'm a very picky eater. But at any point that they put it in front of me, I'm going to devour it. You know why? Because that's fucking flavor right there. That's heart and soul.
Yeah,
That's a conversation.
totally, totally, 100%. At any point, did you want to, obviously after your mother had passed and through all the tribulations that were happening at the time, was there a thought process of not pursuing this as a passion or a career, or wanting to give up? Was there any emotions like that at the time? What was the moment where you're like, no, I've really got to commit to this? Had that already been the case, that it was like, I'm all in here, I am going to give this everything I have? Or was there doubt, and was there at any period of time where you just wanted to say, fuck this?
Well, I've said fuck this like 95 times since then, so we gotta try to pick one of them.
your nine lives have been
yeah.
used.
You're like, okay, hurry up. I think I went through every single emotion you listed, and I think that I would be remiss to say that there isn't doubt in my mind now. Doubt is what drives us. It's the fear of the unknown, conquering a new path. Okay, because here's the thing. I just wrote about this too. The line is a metaphor for a home. Okay, and I'm going to explain to you why. Okay, if you ever stray far from home, it's smart to always know that line that gets you back.
Mm.
That's just it. There's a line in a house, and that's your kitchen,
Right.
And so I think that very many people, very many people can say that they use doubt to drive them. I doubt myself on almost everything that I do, but that's because of my emotional past and how I'm growing and learning through it. I don't think that, it's, completely unnormal not to have doubt. I think that's fantastic. But
Yeah.
let's be honest there. A lot of people have it, and a lot of people have it worse.
Mm.
There was a point in my time where, after my mom passed, after the Tennessee, I just call it the trip. After the trip happened, there was a point where I wanted to kind of just put the knife down and be like, I'm fucking done. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, I think that was the initial, like, fuck this.
Yeah.
I just, it didn't, I was like, maybe that's what my mom wanted. A lot of doubt hit. And then it's really interesting because I just, I kind of asked for a sign, and then a bunch of stuff started happening. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is exactly, no one knows this. You know what I mean? Like, this is spot on.
Mm.
I just said, fuck it. That's really
Okay.
what I did. If you want to, write a book about 2 words, fuck it. That's what you need to do.
Yeah.
If you take the restraint and it's like Will Smith said, the scariest part about jumping out of a plane is that initial jump. And then it's the best feeling in the world.
Yeah. Totally.
Me going, fuck it, and picking back up my knife was the best feeling in the world.
Totally.
Because my career changed. I'm a writer now, and I have the ability and, the experience and the tenacity is the word I want to use, or chutzpah is a new word that I learned. That's
Right.
amazing.
What does that mean?
So no, you're all right. So chutzpah is the exact same thing as tenacity. It's just like, it's just like another little word. I was like, that's fucking cool. I'm using that. So I
Making use of the pandemic time, all folks.
Yep.
Yeah, expand the
Yep.
vocabulary.
So yeah, I mean, it's and that's why I wanted to write. There's a lot of people who said, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about." I'm like, "Well, you realize that word can be 4 different things, right? Like that's the beauty of the English language." And they're like, "Well, you're sarcastic enough." I was like, okay. Well, you're a dick, so there's that. That's neither here nor there.
I think something really important to dive into there, or just even make a point of, is that, and you're saying during that trip that there was a moment where emotions are running so high, and I'm sure everybody had. In fact, I think it's a human thing and a narrative that happens. Is that in times of duress or extreme, let's say it's loss, let's say you've lost a job, you've lost someone you love, you're lost in your personal life. And I know a lot of chefs can relate to this, and you're stuck, and maybe the fire that was there is no longer there, and all those doubts that creep in off the back of that. There's a saying, it's a cliche, you must be lost before you're found. And I think for so many of us, those most painful moments are where we get our biggest inspiration, and it's almost the fulcrum that drives our life in certain directions. I know for myself, like Chef It came off the back of, I fell into a trap when I got out of the service industry and I was coaching people, for fitness and health and whatever else. I got so burnt out and I'd been disillusioned by it. And I was like, this isn't what I'm here to do. This isn't what my life is about. It's actually not what I'm fucking passionate about. And the pain got so bad, and the mental state had got so bad, and that I'd questioned everything about myself. And I remember in a moment that I had met a mentor that I'd had, and it was like, one of those moments where at the absolute right time and the right place, someone just walked into your life, or something walked into your life. I think it's probably a similar thing for you with writing and picking the knives back up. You very easily could have gone the opposite direction, but it wasn't. It was in the emotion at that moment where you were at your fucking rock bottom and it was at its worst, that you were able to pick it up and keep going. The message to take away from all of us, or for everyone, is that your ability to persevere, no matter what, and not give up on something if you know it's the right thing for you, even when everything in your mind is telling you that you should stop and say, fuck this. Some of our best moments and some of the biggest, the best trajectory we can take in our life comes in those moments. And I think that's just something for people to take away, is to not give up when shit happens. Because I think if you look at what you're putting out now and you're writing, and we'll dive into that, it's like maybe that hadn't happened if you hadn't had those moments that were so dark. Yeah.
Oh, no, absolutely. I think I talked to a buddy of mine actually about this exact same thing about a year ago. He was going through a hard time. He was executive sous chef at a really prestigious place, and then they cleaned house. Like one employee got in trouble for something, and it's all gone.
Shit.
What do you do? And so obviously a very rough patch. And I told him, I go, it's not what you did to get to this point that's going to get you out of this. It's what you do next. I was like, listen,
absolutely.
If you need to know when your character is going to be tested, that is when your character is going to be tested. Either you've got the chutzpah or you don't, use my new word. Anyways, so it's, I do really well on the Pee Wee Herman show, the word of the day. Yeah, just sprinkle it in like fuck. That'd be perfect. There's like, just say it as many times as you say fuck. I'm like, hell yeah, But no, it's your character is going to be tested. And here's the thing: skills, like Anthony Bourdain said, skills can be taught. Character is what truly matters. And we miss them every day. I mean,
totally.
Every day, and it's real. It's real. He took the time to step back and go, guys, but hang on, this is why. You know what I mean? That's where you need to take a moment for yourself and step back and go, okay, do I keep, grinding away? Like, what do I do next? What do I want to do next? What about me? but some people sadly need to be coaxed to that. You know, they need to be told exactly what to do in that moment in time, because like you said, we are dogmatic. You know,
Yeah.
we're born to serve and listen. So listen up. In that moment, your character is going to be tested. And in that moment, you're going to need to dig deep. I'm talking, you need to put everything aside. This is the pinnacle of what you do next and what defines you, not as a chef, but as a person. You were a person first and a chef second, you
Mm.
know, and then you can add as many hats as you want to, you know, or badges or whatever you have. Because at the end of the day, a chef it's just a title. We're
Yeah.
just cooks.
Yeah.
That's it. That's really what it is. We do it to serve. You know, we do
Mm.
it to please. We do it to make others happy, and we sacrifice our own happiness. How the hell are you going to make somebody else happy when you aren't happy?
Yeah.
So
Totally.
do whatever you've got to do to stay true to your character, and either you
Exactly.
have it or you don't. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way that I've looked at it.
And I think it's very important, and it's like the ability to serve yourself before you serve others. And as you made mention of Bourdain, you know, I think when that happened, I think it was a big wake up call within the industry. I think it fucking sent shockwaves through everybody. That it
Oh yeah.
was like, fuck, you know, like Bourdain was an inspiration to a lot of people. I'd watched the show since I was a kid, more or
Oh yeah.
less. And
My
you
favorite
know,
one was the Boston one, man. The Boston one.
yeah,
That showed
the
how
real
true.
side of Boston. Yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah.
totally, man.
Oh, they're
Uh,
ribbing into him. Like, you know, that was just it. Like he, you know, it's like he said in that episode, because I remember growing, you know, watching that, you know, as of late, it was a couple of months ago. You know, I still draw inspiration from him. I'm allowed to, you know, and
mm,
I watched that episode, and the fact that he was doing that bowling thing, they were just lighting into him. And he goes, I don't. And when he talked to the radio host, he goes, I don't want to talk to somebody that's going to agree with me. He
yeah,
goes, I just listen to myself talk then. He goes, I want to have that banter. I want to learn something new right there. Learn something new. You don't even have to watch the rest of the episode. Just
yeah,
as long as you learn that, he'd be happy. You know,
totally.
and that's dude. It's. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like interrupt you, but it was just the first
No,
thing
of
that I
course.
remembered, man. It was,
Yeah,
you know, it was it's what
he
we
was
need.
a he was a real one, and I think for a lot of us, it was a shock. And I think an important thing to remember is that, like everyone that's seen, you know, read Kitchen Confidential and looked at that life, and I think a lot of chefs can get very dogmatic about that way of life. And sure, I appreciate, and I know from my background, you know, I used to love the adrenaline, I used to love the rush, but there was also extremely dark moments that maybe no one actually knew about, or you know, we didn't talk about. I think if we try and find a silver lining, as hard as that loss was, I think it forced us to reflect on where we're at and where the industry is at. And I honestly believe that the industry is potentially moving in the right direction, at least a conversation is being opened by, you know, yourself, myself, and others who are trying to do great things within it and have an impact. But I think it goes back to what you were saying, is that it forces us to reflect. And in that reflection, what we can understand is that for you to serve others, you must serve yourself. Because if you don't look after the home front, well, fuck me, that thing will cripple everything
Oh yeah,
else, you know?
absolutely.
And I think in this time, especially in this time where everyone is, you know, out of work and we're locked away, potentially we have been forced to face that, face the person in the mirror. And it's a tough time that a lot of people are going through. So I wanna look into, for yourself, Rodney, like you're one of the admins, or you're running the group, the restaurant mental health group, for chefs and front of house staff, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
A very, very, very important group. And I remember when it started, and I was thinking, you know, it was always something that I spoke about, but I think it's very important that there's an outlet there. So just give us, I suppose,
Oh, absolutely.
give me an idea on how you got involved, why you got involved, and yeah, just tell us a little bit about the group, bro.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So, a bunch of people came together with a mutual friend that they had lost to suicide, Benny. And so Jason Travis and Nicole Travis, Chris Bird, Melissa B. I can't. Oh, it's not Melissa Bird, but Melissa B. And a few other people all came together, and I was friends with them through, you know, Elcon and different groups on Facebook too. And I saw this, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, dude, I need this. This is perfect for me. You know, I can go bitch at things. You know, hell yeah.
Yeah,
I'll stop yelling at my dog. You know, I'll stop taking it out and projecting it at others. Now I can bitch about it and be told I'm right, you know, or something like that. Or, you know, I need a safe space. And so I reached out to him. And as, you know, kind of membership grew, they were like, hey, you're really good at kind of, you know, calming people down, and you're really good at being real with people. How would you feel about being an admin? You're one of the first founders. I'm like, yeah, I'm good with that. And then we just created a safe space. I'm proud of that. You know, I went on kind of a rant in the page the other day, my TED talk, if you will, about how I hate bullying. I fucking hate bullying, boys. You know, it's just, you know, there's no point to it, because I believe that there's enough room for everybody at the top. Because who wants to get to the top and be alone? It's not fun, man. You know, in my mind, getting to the top is like the end of, you know, this is the end where Backstreet Boys is dancing in heaven and everybody's smoking weed and having a great time. Maybe not heaven, but fuck it, something like that. You know what I mean? Like, I think that in order to have a good time, you're going to need more than one person. And who the fuck wants to sit at the table alone?
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? I know exactly what I bring to the table, and I know exactly what everybody is possible, you know, of bringing to the table. We all cook for a living. We know how to make at least an omelet. You know what I mean? People need a safe space, you know, to be able to take a second and reflect or get something out. Speak up, speak out. One of the
even permission, bro. Even permission. Like, I think the biggest, I think the stigma that's been there for so long, if you think about it, and I know even like just what the old school classic chef was that, you know, you were the strong silent type, you endured absolute hell, and fucking, you know, that environment of a kitchen is so extremely tough that I think a lot of chefs will build, you know, like an external armor around themselves to protect themselves from, you know what I mean, how harsh other chefs can be within their own workplace. And I think, you know, if you were, a lot of chefs would be scared to let someone see a chink in their armor, to let somebody in. And a group like that, you know, people like yourself who have the courage and the leadership to step forward and actually not only be there for someone, but open a fucking conversation, because there's so many chefs who need that, even at the very least, a soundboard to what's actually happening. Because I think with the level of the terrifying level of suicide that especially in this industry, you know, a lot of that, and I honestly feel, is preventable if we have some kind of, you know what I mean, a forum such as yourselves. I like to think of what we do with Chef It is trying to offer some kind of practical steps to improving the situation. But for you guys, you know, it's opening a conversation about something, and it's letting someone express something externally as opposed to internalizing and letting them fucking, you know what I mean, till they're boiling over. So sorry to interrupt there, man, but I thought that was a really important thing to make.
You didn't interrupt at all. That's the best thing about a conversation when people are passionate about something and they're trying to help each other. There's no interruptions. There's just continuations. You know what I mean? I interrupt all the time, and I apologize for it, but I'm ADD as shit. I work in the industry, man. Like, it's just what we do, you know? So no, you're good, brother. And I don't think I could have said it better, you know? I think that it's definitely, I mean, look, I broke down in an interview. I'm not embarrassed, because that shows you how comfortable I am with myself. I mean, if anybody, and I got a little heated in my discussion the other day, but if any bully or anybody out there wants to step toe to toe to me, it's not just my mind you're going to have to worry about. I already know why you're there. I already know what you're going to do, because I know the punches and stuff that I was going to make, the swings. I know what I would have been, because 10 years ago, that's where I was. You've already lost. There's no point in that. There's no point. You just be happy. It's real simple, you know, and I've turned a lot of people into believers. I wouldn't say, okay, that sounds cultish, but I've turned a lot of people into believing in themselves. That's what I would say. And it was, they just need that one person. They need to
leadership, bro. Leadership. Well, but I think, honestly, I know you're fucking a humble guy, but that's exactly what it is. And I think within what we do, it's really important when the default is to shit all over people. You know what I mean? And I see this in a lot of groups outside the group we're talking about. You know, where like a young chef might put up a dish. Yeah, sure, it's not the fucking greatest thing in the world. Fuck me up in the comments section, and it's like what are you trying to take the guy's fucking soul? Like, can you?
I've literally heard of people killing themselves because of this. No
Of
joke.
course, yeah,
Yeah,
and
that's bullying right there. That's not okay. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
big time. And I think it's so much
It's
easier. It's easier to be negative than it is to be positive. And I think when
oh yeah,
someone is willing to have the courage to lead forward with positivity, it gives others the permission to do the exact fucking same thing. And I think that's really vital for everyone to understand. Like, instead of hating, constructive. Instead of hating, like, can you
absolutely.
inject some fucking love and compassion and empathy into what you're doing? And even though you mightn't take that title, because I don't think it's about titles, I think the action speaks for itself. In what's being done within the group, you don't
Thank
need to
you.
call yourself a leader, but it's plain to see what it is.
It,
Um,
you know, anybody would have done it. I was just the asshole that was standing next to what needed to be done. That was pretty much the way I look at it. I was I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say I trained for this because I didn't fucking know what I was. You know what I'm saying? I feel that I'm in a position where I can give my 2 cents, where I can help. There are a few times that, and you're a member of the group as well. You'll notice that I leave the posts up so that we can learn from it. But I always make sure that I say that. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, if it's if it's offensive to someone, I take it down. But if it's
yeah,
someone calling someone out, I intervene real quick because that's not okay.
yeah.
That's not okay at all. Um, one of the reasons that I do this, one of the reasons, and I've told this to a great number of people. I used to work for a chef who, when he got mad at you, he waited till the end of service, pulled you off the line, and if he was mad enough during service when you got rail tickets, take you to
Mm.
the walk-in with his other sous chefs, three chefs in there with you, lock the door, and then berate you and scream at you. I caught this one day when it wasn't too busy. It was a Monday, and I broke down my station early, and I had to put some stuff in the walk-in. Well, I can't go in the walk-in because he's in there screaming at this kid. And so I waited. I heard the whole fucking conversation, and I walked out, and I pushed that kid out of the way, and I shut the door and stood in front of them, and their eyes all got big, and they're like, "I'm kind of cool, bro. It's not funny." And I'm like, "No, no, no. You're gonna fucking listen. You're gonna fucking listen right now." I was like, "I'm not gonna have this shit. This is my fucking 2 weeks. That's toxic as shit. You all three of them smelled like a fucking bar. You see what I'm
Yep.
saying?" I was like,
Yep.
you screaming at that kid is going to make him go kill himself. And then how are you going to feel? You're not going to care because you're going to replace him like that. You guys should be ashamed of yourself. This is my 2 weeks. I left that restaurant, and no bullshit, 2 months later, they called me back, begging me to come in. You know what I'm saying? To try and, bring back morale. I was like, no, if you're still there, that's the problem. And it's people like that I try and, push out of other people's lives.
Yep.
And considering the fact that 6,100 people, bud. That's a lot of chefs, man. That's a lot of, am I doing this right? Am I doing that right? That's a lot of, hey, uh, uh, this terrible thing happened to me. How do I get over it? I get a lot of direct messages, which I fucking love.
Mm.
And sometimes I hate them because it's like, all right, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm trying to sleep or something, but it's
Yeah,
fine.
yeah,
In order to have the time, you got to make the time, and time is precious to anyone. And if
yeah.
I can save someone's life with 3 minutes of my time, that's what I'm gonna fucking do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what any good person would do. I mean, if you want to consider this, me repenting for my sins and the things that I fucked up and done, fine. You want to know what I fucked up and done? cleaverandblade.com culinary section. I'm laying it all out for you.
Totally.
That's just it. I'm completely emotionally transparent, and it feels fucking good to be that way.
Totally.
I absolutely know that I have a temper sometimes. I'm a chef. Hi, we fucking met. My point is, like, we all want instant gratification, and when that doesn't happen immediately, we start looking at the negative things, and we start, doubting, and then asking questions, and then getting upset.
Yeah.
I understand that I can't let that take control, but I do have to keep moving forward. You understand?
Mm.
So you have to forgive and forget almost on the fly. And I think that's highly important to entering the group of restaurant mental health and and self-care. And I think that's extremely important to be patient with everybody in there. And the great thing is, I've seen a lot of love in there, man. A
Yeah.
lot of love, and that's why I do what I do. But that smile that you when you give a little kid, something that you made them special, but special grilled cheese that just it's their world because they fucking love grilled cheese. That smile, that feeling of servitude, is the good feeling that I get from that group. And I mean,
Because it's
heavy as the head that wears the
so
crown, but I do it any day.
100%, and that requires, and I think for all of us, we've got to understand that, and it's very transparent with you. What's part of leadership is truth first and foremost, owning your truth and not being afraid of that truth, and living it, and then the courage to speak that and speak the truth. And I think the fact that you do that, it opens the floor to so many other chefs, and I think it's an extremely, extremely important thing that happens. And I want to anyone that listens to, I'm sure most people can relate to the story that Rodney just said about, the head chef and the, fucking sous chef pulling someone into the walk-in, and berating them. We got to understand that within this industry, and this is so fucking common because of the mentality, the old school mentality, is that people think that, taking someone down a peg and destroying someone is what holds standards high, and it's fucking bullshit. The majority of cases that's actually happening, it's a projection of how that person feels about themselves, and it's a demonstration of their fucking ego. And you got to ask yourself within any kitchen, and this is for so many chefs, it's to learn self-respect. It's to learn you don't know what you want until you know what you're willing to not accept from somebody.
Exactly.
And how you're not going to be fucking treated. Like my brother used to work, my brother has his own Michelin star now in his own place in Dublin, and he's fucking gone through hell to get it. But at the beginning of his career, I remember he used to tell me stories. There was a 2-star Michelin in Dublin, I won't mention the name, and him and his friend were just both at a culinary school, and they were interning there for I think it was a month or two. And the guys were used to puke on their way in. You know what I mean? They used to get sick around the side before they walk into the kitchen due to the fear, the anxiety, and the nerves. Now, obviously, nerves are a good thing to a certain extent in pushing your performance, but they were getting sick because the head chef would literally, all right, you're picking fucking, watercress. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Grab him in the back, kick him in the arse, shit like that. We got to all understand that isn't okay. You know what I mean? And I think we can fall it, like we'll all watch fucking Ramsay's Boiling Point, and yeah, sure, you might find it funny. He's like, Mark, what's he doing, that jerk?
Right,
but the reality is, it's like he's not getting a message across efficiently there. People are resilient and they're able to take it, but it doesn't mean that there's something productive being done. You know what I mean? Like as part of having responsibility as a leader, like, is the result being achieved? Is your team working in unison? Are you producing really good food? Is there harmony there? Like, that's what leadership is there to facilitate in the kitchen, I would imagine, outside of just...
Leadership, you have to teach somebody well enough that they have the ability to leave, but treat them even better so that they'll
stay. Yeah.
That's it. I'm not the person going, mush. I own a husky and he's not very good at it. But the point is, I'm the person going, all right, let's go. You know what I mean? I don't know where the fuck we're going, but we're going. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. And it's funny that you'd mentioned Michelin star, because it's fuck Michelin star.
Yeah. Totally.
You sell tires. That's exactly what Marco Pierre White said. Fuck Michelin star. They sell tires. I sell food. And that's it. My next tattoo, I'm, covered. My next tattoo is actually going to be a Michelin star with an X through it. I'm serious. I hope that this video reverberates through time. I'm going to say this again. Fuck a Michelin star. Those people, hang on. I have all the respect for the chefs. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
They push the boundaries. The reason I respect those chefs so fucking much is because they've created a standard and then tried to achieve more. Michelin, 2-star, 3-star. You get the idea. They dedicate everything in their obsession to this. So much so that in the end, what's it really worth?
Exactly.
Gratitude, whatever. A little bit of you're in a book, bud. You're in a book of people who it's a death book in my mind. You know what I mean? you've missed the point a little bit. You've missed putting butter in everything to make it taste better. You've missed the Julia Child. You know,
Yeah.
if you're striving for a Michelin star and that's what you want to do, by all means. But and I agree with why you're doing it, but I don't agree with what it is. That's what it. I know that's a little tricky, and nothing against your brother or anything.
Not at all, because
no,
not at all, because the truth is, Keelan never. His aim was never a star, and when he opened that restaurant, He had no investment. There was no restaurant group that was stepping in and funding him. It was off his own fucking savings. And him and my brother built an old tattoo parlor, like it was an empty tattoo parlor with no floor. They fucking built it from the ground up, and they got their star within 9 months. But the idea was that Keelan was so anti-establishment. He wanted nothing to do with pretentious food. And Keelan's whole idea, and going back to our childhood as a family, would be that my dad would always create sharing dishes. You know what I mean? So it was always like, here, cook this fucking thing amazingly, boom, middle of the table, bottle of wine, and like fucking Van Morrison or the Beatles or the Doors is playing in the background. Like that was how we grew up, and that was our connection between me and my siblings. He sought to recreate that. So my brother walks around the floor of a Michelin star. My other brother who runs the floor, he walks around in a fucking Hawaiian shirt and doesn't give a fuck. And I think that's really important, because they were unapologetically themselves and didn't seek to, it wasn't about getting a star. It was about making fucking incredible food and delivering an experience to people. And for some reason they got on board with it, which is quite funny, because it's contrary to what's actually happening in the fucking industry, where everyone will lose their shit trying to fit into that Michelin box. And I think that's where people lose the fucking plot, because you've forgotten about why you started in the fucking first place. You didn't, as you said, it's that book of death. Like, how many chefs have gone down that fucking path of trying to get there, and you know what I mean, have completely lost themselves in the process. I totally agree with you. I think Keelan's thing is, I suppose it's in spite of the rule as opposed to because of it. But so fucking true though, when it comes to food. It's like, you gotta stay true to yourself. You gotta stay true to what the fuck you're doing it for. And I think it's sure, I respect people that have that passion to be obsessed about it, but it's not necessarily a good thing for the industry as a whole, that people try and fit into that box, you know?
No, because then you become toxic, you know. And I'm not saying that, Michelin chefs are toxic. I'm saying the mentality of desecrating yourself physically, depriving yourself of sleep, alcoholism, drug abuse. Trust me, I know a lot about all that. And killing yourself with these things just to earn something that's in a book. It doesn't mean shit.
Doesn't make sense.
Exactly. What are you going to do with it? Nothing. Because if you're not there to sell plates because you're dead, why are you in the book? You know what I'm saying? So it's really, I don't know. My mom would have really wanted me to not like that, not like Michelin star chefs. She didn't give a fuck. She liked Paula Deen. If there's butter pudding in it, she loved it. She loved Julia Child, even though she hated Julia Child. So it was one of those, if my mom's favorite cook had to have been my grandmother. One of those heritage things. And I think that this day and age, with the ability to talk to people around the world like we're doing now, we owe it to ourselves to kind of bring back to that and share the experiences versus worried about being in some kind of advertisement in a book.
Yeah.
If somebody wants a Michelin star, take mine. I don't have any. I'm just saying, like, take my chance to get one. You know what I'm saying? Like, because for me, that's not it. And for me, that goes kind of against everything that I fucking stand for, in a sense, like with your brother. But 100%. If it does happen, if you ever show up at my restaurant and I have a Michelin star and you go, can I have that? It's all yours.
Yeah, totally.
It's all yours.
Doing it on your terms, I think that's important, So with that in mind, I think we've got a very good insight into the mental health side of things and your background, dude. And I know we've mentioned it a couple of times, and I found some of your writing very interesting. You sent it to me the other week, and I had a look through, and I like your style of writing. It's very real. So let's dive into that for a second. Cleaver and the Cleaver and Blade is the name of the site,
yeah. It's cleaverandblade.com. There's a little tab to your left if you're doing it on a desktop. It's culinary blogs, and you basically just scroll around till you see my fucking mug, and it's I've been writing for them for the last couple of months. they posted an ad basically, that you would find in Craigslist. It was online, and I've always kind of followed them. I sent some pictures in for them to use, modeled some shirts here and there. I'm really behind now because I really like the tenacity. There's that word again. I really like the message. I'm like, hey, I'm that asshole. You know what I mean? Like, I can be nice if I want to, but at the same time, like, I'm kind of unapologetic. You know what I mean? I'm gonna say what I have to say, and then if you don't like it, I'll apologize for it. But I don't really. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that offends you, but at the same time, I'm not fucking sorry that I said it. And it's which is really interesting because I kind of have to like tiptoe through tulips a little bit in the mental health group. But that's to create a safe space. That's for a different reason. And I think that anybody would admit that, kind of, bending the rules there is a better benefit for everybody. So I get away with that, which feels kind of cool because it feels criminal, but at the same time, it's for a good cause. I'm good with it. But cleaverandblade.com. I write every Tuesday, every Thursday. They're really not about anything specific except for shit that's going on per se. Like, I've got my last article, or the one that I'm releasing tomorrow. It's going to be titled "Coming Back Home," and it's about a restaurant out in Massachusetts, Sutton, Massachusetts. It's called Brickstone. These boys have been killing it since the COVID crisis happened. They thought they were going to lose their jobs. They thought that they were fucked. They thought we're screwed. So then when the chef was like, hey, we're going to keep it open for to-go orders, the community knew that and started giving back. And these kids, they're working full-time hours now. Do they go, oh, yeah, I'm working and you guys aren't, but everybody around them is losing their jobs? Fuck no, because they have to go home and self-quarantine themselves from their own family. You know what I'm saying? So it's they're literally laying their lives on the line to feed these people. And I was like, someone's got to talk about it. I was like, that's a fucking beacon being lit. Then I got my boys down here in Ann Arbor. It's the last word. Tyler, Nate, what up, boys? Holding it down. Good shout out to you boys. They started that shit. They're feeding the industry folk who can't eat for themselves. Because let's face it, how are you going to go in and steal fries as a server? You know what I'm saying? Or eat the mistakes that the line cooks fuck up if there's no restaurant to eat it at. You're not eating that, you know? And so I got, heads up for some free, and went down and got some free produce in Detroit, but Del Bay Produce, came back to Lansing, and I fed 200 people. That's what I could do. We all, a bunch of people. Meals on Wheels was happy. They're like, are you going to be able to do this every day? We'll set up delivery trucks. And I was like, I can't keep driving to Detroit every day. That's going to eat. I have a truck. You know what I mean? It's not going to be cheap. That's an hour and a half there, an hour and a half back. Right. And then, it just got to the point where I couldn't keep doing it without something local. They're killing it. They're killing it. They're feeding all kinds of people, and they're a beacon in a very dimly lit place right now. Same as as these guys out here that I wrote about today for tomorrow. That's my point. If someone deserves to be heard, I'm going to make sure they got a voice, because I know what it's like to scream as loud as you can, and it falls on deaf ears. I know what it's like, and so. But at the same time, here's the thing. If you're an asshole, I'm going to call you out. I'm going to call you out, and I'm going to make sure that people know why, and who knows? I know a lot of people, but I know a lot of great fucking people that, they're going to talk if they don't like you. You're an enemy in common makes friends.
Yeah, and I think it's very important, and I was thinking about this for the past week in terms of what we consume through social media, and there's a lot of shit out there that we fill our heads with, and I think it's very important for someone to be able to articulate and tell someone's life story, and I think there's universal truths about being in this industry, and the pains, the hardships, the victories, the beauty of it. I think it's very important. Something that you might think is insignificant, but maybe someone clicks into that and you've just explained something that they're feeling, and it's like, fuck, there's a lot of emotional resonance there. And I know I get a similar feeling. I know I'll try and write every day, but sometimes every once in a while there'll be a poster like, shit, no, I'm actually that had something really important behind it, and maybe someone will read that and that will really fucking get them through either a shit time, or it'll provide them with laughter or whatever. It'll improve someone's life. And when you take yourself back, bro, like what was the beginning? Was that your first jaunt into writing? Had it been something you were thinking about? Like what did you feel the need to express? What did you want to express through it?
My first run-in with writing was, back in high school. English class, they ask you to write about something, 5-page essay. I wrote about cooking. It was either cooking or drugs. I really didn't have a good option here. You know what I mean? Like it was, I sold weed in high school. I'm not gonna lie. Like I knew the metric system very well. And so, that's how I got paid. You know what I mean? And so, math class was great. I was like,
problem solving.
Yeah, exactly. And you want to get mad, man. I was an entrepreneur. Great. But no, it was, so I wrote about cooking, and just because the teacher didn't understand the terms used and why I wrote it, she completely bombed it. That made me feel like shit. I was like, God damn, this sucks then. And so then once that popped up in Cleaver and Blade, I saw the ad, like, I was saying earlier, thank you for bringing me back. I was like, fuck it. I've been thinking about doing it and going back to it because I love reading. I'm a bibliophile.
Right.
If there's words to it, I'm going to fucking read it. I love text messaging, but at the same time, all right, if there's emotions involved that are kind of, let's go face to face with it. But I love text. And so, I've read Bourdain's books, of course. And so I was like, well, why don't I try this? Why don't I just try it? Hell, I don't know much about it, but I'm sure I can learn as I go. He's not saying that there's any, criteria. He's just saying, here's this platform, keep going. And so that's when I really became really good friends with the owner and operator of Cleaver and Blade, like personal level. And that guy's coached me through quite a bit. And he's challenged me and tested me, and I can't say thank you enough. How do you repay that? Well, you just remain consistent and keep writing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I do. I take the emotions that I'm feeling from my chest and I throw it against a brick wall and see what sticks. And whatever sticks, I write about in a sense. And it's, it's hard to sit back and look at, the retrospective points in your life that give you the ability to say, I can write about this, or should I tell people about that? You know what I mean? Yeah. If you read my later articles, you can kind of tell, well, it seems like he doesn't give a fuck what he's saying. I mean, dude, I talk about some pretty gnarly shit that, I'm not saying it happens to everybody, but everybody's got kind of this phase in their life that they're not really proud of, but they're alive. You know what I mean? So it's kind of, every decision that you made was either drug-induced or alcohol-induced, and it was questionable at best. And so you're like, well, there's that, and we call it the party phase. Well, what happens when people keep wanting to live the party phase? Do you ever get out of it? I've still got friends that are running around with affliction shirts on going, yo, bro, what's up, dude? I'm like, I swear to God. I'm just like, it's terrible. It's terrible. I've got one friend. It's okay. So he's got FaceTime, right? And when he FaceTimes me, it's not like normal FaceTime like this. Like you can see, it's always up his nose. He's like, yo, bro. It's like, hey, man, I can't see you. Like I can hear you, but I can't see you. And so then, like, when you ask him to set it down and walk him through how to work fucking FaceTime, every goddamn time he calls you, he puffs his chest. He's like, yeah, bro. Yeah, I'm just like, stop, man. I was like, what happens when that creatine runs out, dog? That's what I want to know. What happens?
Love it.
Love him to death, though. Like, honestly, he's
we all have one of those friends. They're just cut from a different cloth. Just not fucking. Taking it back, I think with the writing, and you were kind of saying, oh, it's not pretty, a lot of what I write about, but the reality is truth is, and realness is, and even when you can tie a lesson into that, even better. And I think that's something you do well. And I think a lot of people are afraid to potentially.
I try.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are afraid to air dirty laundry at times. But fuck me, it's a it's a lot of it's seeing things like that connects people. I think that's why it's important, because there is
How are
universal
you
truth.
supposed to wash your clothes? You can't hang them out to dry.
Yeah, totally, bro. Totally. And potentially dark narratives that thought processes that we have that no one's willing to talk about. It's important that it gets said. So I truly believe it's good shit that you're doing, bro, and it's an expression of something that a lot of people feel. So, guys, cleaverandblade.com. Check that out and go to the old blog spot and check out Rodney's stuff, because it's definitely worth a read. And obviously, as best you can, and something that a lot of us don't do is we consume, we don't share. I think it's important to share stuff as best you can, you know what I mean? Because if you take something from his writing or whatever gets put out, it's important that you share that around to other chefs and tag them and whatever else.
Absolutely.
Good,
you know,
good
a
shit.
day without learning anything new is a waste of a day.
Exactly.
You know, and if you learn, then I'm terrible at fucking writing. Make sure somebody else knows that so that they can read it. Okay. And just in case, you know, that's my point. You can't tell me to fuck off twice, because it's just like, you still read it. You took something away from it. I got a reaction out of you. That was my point. I didn't mean for it to bully you. I was just like, yo, listen, I'm the guy that used to do, blow off the end of strippers because I thought it was a brilliant idea. But hey, fuck me, right? You know what I mean? Like, I'm still here. I'm still the one going, maybe don't do that next time. Like, that was a bad idea. $800 gone. Not even worth it.
Good shit. As we take this thing into the harbor, bro, and we finish it out, is there anything that you would like to get across to chefs out there? Because I know we've covered some very important stuff. Is there anything that we haven't covered that you'd like to get out there, bro?
You know, here's the thing, guys. We're going through some extremely tough fucking times. You know, everybody across the board. Okay, we're not gonna get through this, A, without you, B, without each other. Okay, you need to figure out what team you fucking want now so that you can see it at the end of the tunnel. Because I'm telling you, there's places out there like my boys at the Last Word, kicking it out, cranking it out every day. You know, and my guys that I just wrote about in Massachusetts at Brickstone, they're holding it down for us. They're making sure we have something to fucking come back to. They're just waiting. We just got to make it home. You know, you got to know what you're doing to hold yourself back. I think that's extremely important, and I think that, you should always try and take time for yourself to get it out. You got to get it out. I mean, and that's why I'm not ashamed, to cry if I have to, because that's fucking real. Emotions can cause you to want to kill yourself. What do you think they're going to do, any other point in time in your life? They're going to be real. You got to learn from them. It's how you adapt and build your fucking character based off of what you feel. And I want you to understand that what you're doing is a form of art. When we cooks put food in front of each other, is a form of art. Okay? Not all art is beautiful. Let's fucking face it. Some of my first played, terrible pieces of shit. Don't go looking for them. They're there, but they fucking suck. I want you to see that art is there to experience. Now, Picasso can make you look at something. Sometimes it's beautiful, sometimes it's not, but he's showing you an emotion through vision. There are artists who create very sad songs to help us, go through breakups, statistically proven, at times, and they're musical artists. There are artists that will make you touch the tactile sensations of the earth, and those are just image or sensation artists. A chef, a cook, a person that provides a meal as an artist is trying to tell you something through taste. We've got to know that. We've got to accept that and become part of that reality. A lot of people are like, yeah, well, my plates look better than yours, but do they taste better? So know your worth. Have the mind of a fucking Buddhist and the tenacity of a standing fucking army.
Oh, there we go.
I mean,
folks.
It's very simple.
Yeah, powerful message. Thank you, bro. It's been fucking good. It's been real.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
My pleasure, bro.
Yeah, big time. Hour 15 minutes flies by.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Um,
does. It's it's invigorating too. It makes me
yeah.
want to go cook, but I know that the day's winding down for me. So if I go banging around in the kitchen, I'm not gonna get too many good looks.
Store up that energy, bro. Store up that inspiration. So, Rodney, just in terms of people looking to connect,
Mm-hmm.
cleaverandblade.com, guys. Read Rodney's blogs and writing. The Restaurant Mental Health and Self-Care Group, that is the name of it, yeah? Okay, cool.
Yep.
Just so I don't get that wrong. Guys, if you are looking for a soundboard, a safe space, generally a positive place where there can be a lot of darkness, that's the place to go. If you ever need to talk about anything, obviously, like, get into that group and share, and be willing to share it, because there isn't judgment coming off the back of that. And yeah, guys, please subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you are watching it there. Like the video, and please, for the mother of God, if you're on social media, please share it and tag whoever, because there's always, if you take something away as a lesson from any episode, I'm sure there's others that will as well. So again, please do your best to share that and support, so we can get the message out there as much as possible. Guys, that is our episode for today. Rodney, thank you so much, brother. Much love.
Thank you.
Yeah, all good, bro. All
Peace
good.
and love, brother.
Nice one, man. Chefs, stay safe out there, and I will chat to you in the next episode. Peace.
Yeah!